A couple years ago, I did a team going over the remastered version of our best team for Kanto. But how would that team actually hold up? Today, I'll be showcasing how our best team for Kanto Remastered would handle the entire Fire Red and Leaf Green games. To do this, we'll be using an elimination lock with hardcore Nuzlocke rules, and seeing if using only these Pokemon, we can actually beat the Kanto region. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more challenge videos like these. Without further ado, let's start by going a bit more in depth into the rule set of this challenge. For this challenge, what exactly is the rule set we'll be using? Well, for anyone unaware of what a hardcore elimination lock is, allow me to explain. Basically, we'll be starting off with only these 6 Pokemon in their base forms. This means Pokemon such as Jinx will start as a Smoochum. However, we'll also have Snorlax ready to go due to the lack of Munchlax this generation. They'll also start off with any moves possible that we covered in our movesets, such as Smoochum having Ice Punch due to it being an egg move. This means moves such as Toxic for our Venusaur we'll still need to find the TM for as we go. We'll only have these 6 Pokemon, and once one of them faints, it's going to be unusable for the entire duration of our run going forward. This means we need to be careful about choosing what stays around for our battles. Because it is an elimination lock, we can't catch any new Pokemon. So if we lose these 6 Pokemon, the challenge is considered a failure. Not only that, but to make things more difficult, we'll also be unable to use items such as potions in battles. And we have to play on set mode as well. This means that if the opponent sends out a new Pokemon, we won't actually know it's on the field. Finally, for the sake of not making things too easy, we'll also be making sure our team is at the most on par with the ace Pokemon of any opponents. This means we'll start everything at level 5 in order to not have any Pokemon overleveled. With that said, let's see how we started off. Starting off, we have our first rival battle after choosing our starter, which can honestly be pretty easily managed by just leaving Bulbasaur and using Tackle. We had a Jolly Nature Bulbasaur for this fight actually, which meant that we were able to outpace Charmander to attack it first. If something really came up here though, I had options such as Snorlax that I could have gone into if anything went awry. We have one more rival battle however, this one being the optional battle before going towards Brock. I figured it'll be nice to just get any experience or money for potential TMs or items down the road, so we'll take this battle on as well. Our game plan here is simple. Lead off with Smoochum to Ice Punch Pidgey, then go on the Snorlax on the Charmander and Body Slam it until it faints. And this ends up going way better than I could have ever imagined, seeing as we actually not only land a critical hit Ice Punch on Pidgey, but our Snorlax also critical hit Body Slams the Charmander. The odds of that happening are extremely low, but I'll take any good luck we can get, seeing as we can only use these 6 Pokemon the entire run. We're now going to take on Brock, the first gym leader of Kanto. I decided, because of how strong a type advantage we have here, to go only to level 13 on everything, seeing as we would have no issues with taking on Brock's team with Bulbasaur alone here. Bulbasaur was able to easily knock out both of Brock's Pokemon with Vine Whip, making this battle also a clean sweep. We've now required Rock Tomb for once we evolve Tyrogue into a Hitmonlee, and I even managed to teach Bulbasaur Poison Powder when it leveled up to level 15. I figured this would be, at the very bare minimum, our substitute for Toxic in the early game, similar to how Vine Whip will be our substitute for Razor Leaf until we learn that. Before getting to Misty, we have to clear through Mount Moon, which should be rather easy. We're going to find our Moonstone, which we'll use right away to earn a Nidoking in time for Misty. Not that we'll really need Nidoking for Misty, but having any stronger Pokemon would be nice for the upcoming fights. And seeing as Nidoking has only TMs to learn besides Megahorn at level 43, we should be fine evolving it now. After clearing Mount Moon, we have one battle left, being our rival. I decide to lead off with Smoochum again here, since Pidgeotto was the lead yet again. And Ice Punch still managed to pick up the one-hit KO, even without getting a critical hit this time around. I then go out with Snorlax, who managed to get past Charmander and Abra thanks to Body Slam, neither of which put up much of a fight. Snorlax is basically a cheat code throughout this early game, to be honest, which helps us at least play safely around the Charmander until we get actual coverage for it. Finally though, in an effort to not make this a Snorlax sweep, I decided to pick off Rattata with Nidoking by going for Double Kick. Finally, we have our Misty battle. Misty's team, luckily, despite having a Starmie, has nothing better than Swift to damage Ivysaur, making it basically a carry through yet another gym battle. We managed to lead Ivysaur and use Vine Whip, which just barely misses the knockout. Because of this, I decided it would be better to Leech Seed this time around in order to make sure our next Vine Whip beats Staryu guaranteed here. Starmie comes in next, and we actually run into a little bit of a problem here. Starmie actually crits a Swift here, which brings Ivysaur fairly low. Luckily, we use Leech Seed this turn and healed up enough to avoid risking Swift the next turn. I figured my game plan here was to use Vine Whip, then the following turn if I didn't pick up the win this turn. We actually managed to get a bit of karma in our favor here, however, and Ivysaur actually crits this time with Vine Whip on Starmie, which secures us badge number 2. We now make our way to Vermilion City, where we have yet another rival battle aboard the SS Anne. I actually forgot about this battle, so I didn't end up remembering to put Smoochum in the front of my party this time. Because of this, I decided to go hard in the Snorlax in order to make sure I didn't risk taking any damage on Smoochum due to how frail it is. Snorlax was able to body slam the Pidgeotto down, but not without taking a couple sand attacks first. This meant I had to switch into Nidoking on Raticate in order to avoid missing moves due to Pidgeotto's sand attack. Nidoking was able to defeat Raticate with a double kick, which caused our rival to bring in Kadabra this time. From here, I went in the Snorlax to body slam not only this Kadabra, but also the incoming Charmeleon our rival had. Thankfully, despite not planning accordingly, we were still able to defeat our rival for the 4th time now. Now, we make our way to Surge's gym. I wasn't originally thinking I'd have much to say here, considering the Dig TM we managed to acquire for Nidoking back in Cerulean should make this fight a breeze, right? I thought so too, but Surge managed to actually try to stall me out of digs with this Pikachu of all things using Double Team. It took us 4 tries before we actually were able to hit the Pikachu and take it out. Raichu then tried a similar tactic, and while we managed to hit on the first try, we just barely missed taking it out here. Luckily, our second dig also lands, earning us the 3rd gym badge. Now that we've cleared Surge, it's time to go to Erica. I make my way to Celadon City in order to get all the necessary TMs we can get in here, such as Shadow Ball and Thunderbolt, in order to nearly finalize for the end portion of the game. I tried grinding the team up to par for this battle, however I realized halfway through grinding that I needed to battle our rival. I tried to not use Smoochum due to how overleveled it was, which actually meant we had to lead Snorlax. Snorlax was able to overcome Body Slam after getting a critical hit, which was fairly justified considering we were missing prior because Pidgeotto used Sand Attack. Gyarados comes in next, which proved to be very difficult because of Intimidate along with our dropped accuracy. I had to go hard into Venusaur here, which allowed me to use Leech Seed. This helped me with getting health back on Snorlax in order to handle Gyarados with Body Slam. I then left Snorlax in to deal with Execute, thinking there would be no real issues doing this. Execute decided to set Reflect, as well as use Hypnosis on my Snorlax. These, along with Leech Seed, wore down my Snorlax enough to where I actually had to swap it out after handling Execute because I was just too low on health. I made a very risky double into Doduo, and thankfully I was able to take the hit and go for an Aerial Ace to pick off Kadabra. Finally, Charmeleon comes in, and I bring in Hitmonlee in order to Rock Tomb until we knock out. This was easily the most difficult battle yet. I'd have loved to use Nidoking here, as it would have been a nice clean sweep, but we were too high level to make this any fair fight in my opinion. Luckily, unlike with our rival, the Erica battle was actually very easy. We just led off with Doduo and used Aerial Ace until her team fainted. The greatest struggle we actually had here was when her Vileplume paralyzed us. However, we actually managed to just barely get past Vileplume without needing to switch Doduo out. After Erica, we have to take on Giovanni at the game corner, who actually has a team that's fairly weak to Ivysaur. I use Razor Leaf on both the Onix and Rhyhorn. Then we have to deal with Giovanni's ace, Kangaskhan. Kangaskhan is actually a pretty terrifying Pokemon to switch against here, so I decided to Leech Seed first in order to get some health back. Mega Punch does nearly half my health, so I swap from here in the Snorlax as my bulkiest Pokemon. Luckily, Giovanni makes a bad play here and goes for Bite for some reason, which gives me a free swap. I decided to use Body Slam into Brick Break, seeing as in the off chance Brick Break doesn't knock out Kangaskhan, I can ensure at the very least Giovanni won't heal. As I use Body Slam, however, Kangaskhan actually lands a critical hit in Mega Punch, leaving me fairly damaged. Luckily, we're able to pick up the knockout on Kangaskhan thanks to the recovery from Leech Seed in tandem with Brick Break. We're now able to obtain the Sylph Scope and then pass through Lavender Town and the Marowak's Ghost. Nothing substantial happened here other than obtaining the Pokeflute soon after, which means we can now take on the Snorlax and head to Fuchsia City. This means access to moves such as Surf, Strength, and Stealing for our final team. After gaining access to those moves, we'll have an easier time against the upcoming Silphco mission. We first have to conquer our rival before fighting Giovanni. So, like we've always done, we'll lead Jinx and Ice Punch the opposing Pidgeot. We actually miss on the knockout for once. However, we get a super lucky freeze here. From here, we have to take on our rival's scariest Pokemon, Gyarados. I decide my best chance of beating this is trying to Body Slam it with Snorlax, seeing as it is my bulkiest Pokemon, and Gyarados offensively does so much here. Against Charizard, I go in the Nidoking since I lost a stage in defense against Gyarados, and I didn't want to risk anything with my Snorlax. However, Charizard gets a lucky burn on Nidoking, which causes our first loss of the run. Thinking I'll outspeed Charizard, I actually go in the Dodrio here in order to preserve health on Snorlax to help against Alakazam. But that actually causes yet another loss to Charizard as Flamethrower Okos. Charizard decides to smokescreen our Snorlax this time, which causes us to be unable to land attacks. Thankfully, the Poison Nidoking got earlier thanks to Poison Point, at least enabled us to finish up Charizard. Execute comes in, which thankfully gives us a free excuse to switch in the Jinx. I think if my rival went to Alakazam here, this could have very well been game over right here. After we knock out Execute, Alakazam comes in and starts going for Calm Mind as Jinx hits itself in confusion. Alakazam is now severely boosted, and our best hope here is hoping it hits itself in confusion for any damage. Thankfully, Sweet Kiss landed and caused Alakazam to take a hit of confusion. We got very bailed out against Alakazam as it used Feature Sight here, which actually was the only reason we won this battle. Having lost 2 Pokemon against our rival this time around, I need to figure out a game plan if I want to win this challenge. At the very least, most of Dodrio's role in this challenge has been fulfilled. However, with Nidoking, we'll be in for a tough time against Blaine in the near future, as well as future rival battles and Giovanni. Speaking of Giovanni, we actually have our next battle against him next. I heal up really quickly and decided to yet again lead off with Jinx as it matches up phenomenally against Giovanni's team. Luckily, this fight was nowhere near as difficult as our rival battle. Jinx actually OHKO'd the entire team here thanks to some lucky critical hits on Kangaskhan and Nidoqueen. While I'm unsure if the critical hit on Nidoqueen mattered much, the Kangaskhan one was very significant, as this avoided us having to potentially take a Mega Punch. Since both Koga and Sabrina's gyms are basically the same level, I decided to go take on Koga first, since if we, for whatever reason, lose Jinx against Sabrina, our run is basically near guaranteed to end at Koga. I feel confident enough in our Sabrina matchup thanks to Snorlax and Jinx combined, so I'm not as worried here, even if Koga takes out one of these. Similarly to Giovanni, Koga's team ends up being a breeze thanks to Jinx. Sadly, we don't OHKO everything again. However, Jinx is still able to OHKO Coughing at least. Muck is a bit bulkier, so it lived as Psychic and went for a Minimize on us. This proved annoying while Koga used potions to heal up Muck, and when we eventually missed, he fired off a Sludge. Luckily, we managed to get past it along with his second Coughing. Finally, we have Wheezing, which was also OHKO'd by Psychic. While we could maybe have beaten the gym with Venusaur or Snorlax, I felt Jinx made this absolutely effortless due to not having to stall out every Pokemon Koga has and hope for the best. Now we take on Sabrina, the fearsome Psychic gym leader of Kanto. Luckily, Sabrina's team actually crumbles to Snorlax thanks to Shadow Ball doing so much damage thanks to being a physical move in this generation, while we also had our monstrous special defense stat as well. I knock out Kadabra in one shot with Shadow Ball, and then take 2 in order to beat Mr. Mime. Venomoth proves to be a bit tedious, however after a couple body slams, we managed to take it out while Sabrina used all her Hyper Potions. Finally, it's do or die against Sabrina's Alakazam. I just need to use Shadow Ball, and I win. However, I actually use Strength, which just barely misses out on the KO. Thankfully, we still had Jinx, who was able to swap in and then take out the Alakazam at the end, earning us our 6th badge, and also Calm Mind to finish off Jinx's moveset. Now that we've acquired our full movesets on everything, it's time to take on our last 2 gym badges before the Elite Four. First up, probably one of our hardest remaining battles, we have to take on Blaine's gym. With no Nidoking, our only outs here are Snorlax and Hitmonlee, seeing as Venusaur and Jinx would crumble against Blaine. I decide to lead off with Hitmonlee, as it'll be much easier to switch Snorlax against Blaine rather than Hitmonlee if I needed to. I decided to bulk up once and see what Blaine chose to do, as I figured the attack boost I'd receive would also help using Rock Tomb against his team. This proved effective, as Hitmonlee not only OHKO'd Growlithe, but also Ponyta. Rapidash managed to live a single Rock Tomb, however it ended up getting critted the following turn while Blaine healed up. Because our attack dropped again against Arcanine, I decided to swap in the Snorlax and go for Body Slam here. Thankfully, we saved Snorlax for the end, since due to the fact we never got our attack dropped, we managed to 2-hit KO Arcanine at the end. So much for that battle being difficult. We now only have to worry about Giovanni and our rival before taking on the Elite Four. When taking on Giovanni, I decided that we could actually just lead off with Venusaur and set up growth. From there, we used Razor Leaf 5 times and wound up OHKOing Giovanni's entire team. I figured this would be the smartest plan here, seeing as we can hopefully boost enough to OHKO even Nidoqueen and Nidoking. This sadly came back to bite me in the butt, however, as Rhyhorn brought me down too low to actually stay in anymore. In fact, I'm now in a pretty terrible position against Giovanni because of this. I now have taken too much damage on Venusaur to actually do anything against his team, so I decided to swap in the Snorlax for the level 50 Rhyhorn. I end up being stalled out because of potions here, sadly, and I actually end up being forced out after a couple brick breaks. As I double into Hitmonlee, Giovanni doubles in the Nidoking, which actually forced me to swap in the Jinx the following turn. In hindsight, it was probably smarter to sack Hitmonlee here in order to bring in Jinx safely, as I nearly lost Jinx to a single Earthquake. Luckily, Psychic OHKOs not only Nidoking, but also the level 50 Rhyhorn when it returns to the field. Dugtrio comes in next, and thankfully we also OHKO'd that, since we could have been in a sticky situation due to the set battle. Finally, Giovanni brings in Nidoking, who we are extremely lucky to have one-shot here, as I was fully prepared to lose Jinx. Jinx is the MVP of this challenge run in my opinion, and this battle should definitely show why. We now have our last obstacle before the Elite Four, our final rival battle. I decided as always against our rival to lead off with Jinx, as it's the best lead for Pidgeot. I'm unsure how we'll actually be able to overcome Charizard and Alakazam this time around, but we'll see what we can do. We comfortably OHKO the Pidgeot with Ice Punch, as well as the incoming Rhyhorn as well. Charizard decides to come in here now, and we have to go in the Snorlax, as it's now our only option around this. I go for Body Slam and hope for Paralysis. However, we end up not getting one at all. Luckily, since our rival doesn't heal, we were able to successfully overcome Charizard with Snorlax. The only issue is though, how are we going to beat Alakazam now? I decided my best bet was to take advantage of the Execute in front of me and set up a couple of Calm Minds in order to damage Alakazam when it comes in as much as possible, and use Jinx as a sack piece to bring in Snorlax easier to hopefully take a single hit. Jinx gets 2 boosts off, and we OHKO the Execute with Ice Punch. Next up, Gyarados comes in and gets a critical hit Hydro Pump here on our Jinx. This nearly killed us, but thankfully we lived and avoided a full para here. Finally, Alakazam comes in, and instead of attacking us, it just uses Disable here. Even if it hit, it'd have disabled Psychic thankfully, which allowed us to actually pick off Alakazam with Ice Punch. If we didn't get those boosts up earlier, I think this would have been a dead run. But we made it, so let's go to the Elite Four. Starting off the Elite Four run, we have Lorelei, who we decided to lead off with Hitmonlee in order to conquer Dewgong as easily as possible. This proved pretty effective as we were able to nearly KO Dewgong. It really only managed to set up Hail before being taken out here. Slowbro, however, came in next, and it managed to put Snorlax to sleep while we tried taking it out. This was a huge issue since now we had Snorlax asleep, which was vital to take out Pokemon such as Lapras later in this battle. I go into Venusaur in order to finish it off. However, my Venusaur also gets put to sleep, which only hurts even more. As Lapras comes in, I basically have to go hard into Hitmonlee or I lose. I get hit with a Confuse Ray this turn, and I end up luckily breaking through to Brick Break Lapras. Lapras ends up living the hit, however, and going for a Body Slam, which does a bit over half to us. I snap out of confusion the following turn, and am luckily able to take out Lapras with another Brick Break. We now have to deal with Cloyster, so I decide to stay in and use Brick Break to 2-hit KO it. Cloyster managed to set a layer of spikes this turn, which could definitely prove annoying for this last Pokemon, seeing as I'm fairly worn down already. Cloyster then used Protect twice in order to stall my PP a bit more, before finally letting itself fall to Hitmonlee. Finally, Jynx is out. This will certainly be a pretty terrifying Pokemon, seeing as we basically only have our own Jynx left. Jynx goes for a lovely kiss and puts us to sleep, which already is pretty terrible since we're already damaged by spikes. I decide to try going for Calm Mind, however Jynx ends up staying asleep all 3 turns. I am now down a significant portion of my health, and Jynx is proven to be an absolute nightmare for us. We finally wake up and get a special defense drop followed by a second Psychic to bring it below half. I got put to sleep again and decided I have to let go of Jynx here, seeing as this match now rests on Hitmonlee potentially outpacing Jynx. If Hitmonlee can't outpace here, I lose the challenge right here. Thankfully, Hitmonlee ends up taking out Jynx with a Brick Break, securing us the victory. Losing Jynx, while a necessary sacrifice, is a pretty big hit for our champion battle, as we lost our best lead against Pidgeot, seeing as we need Snorlax as healthy as possible for the Charizard and the Alakazam. Going on to Bruno, we thankfully had a far easier matchup this time around. Venusaur was able to honestly lead and apply pressure to everything thanks to Razor Leaf and Leech Seed. After knocking out Onix with 1 Razor Leaf, I decided to set a Leech Seed against Hitmonchan before going through a few growths to then win with Razor Leaf. Hitmonlee comes in next, however, and nearly OHKOs us with Mega Kick. This actually proves to be a pretty terrifying turn for us, since I used Leech Seed this turn in order to heal a bit more before Machamp came in. I ended up losing Venusaur because of this, which is actually terrifying since I now no longer have a reliable answer to Machamp. Just like against Lorelei, I bring in my mirror to Bruno by sending in my Hitmonlee against his Hitmonlee. I use Brick Break to take it out before I need to take any unnecessary damage. And then, it was time for Machamp. Because of how low Hitmonlee's defense is, I felt my best play was to use Bulk Up here and then use High Jump Kick. However, Bruno actually used Bulk Up this turn. I decided I may as well High Jump Kick, however, it does negligible damage, not even netting us a 3-hit KO. I try using this again and hoping for a critical hit, however, we just barely miss out on landing one. Bruno heals up sadly, as I used the Brick Break, thinking Bruno may not heal this turn. Hitmonlee now takes a Cross Chop and is nearly knocked out. However, the High Jump Kick I used was not enough to finish the job. This basically means if Machamp lands its next 2 attacks, I lose the run. Bruno uses another full Restore here and then lands a Cross Chop, knocking out Hitmonlee. Finally, Snorlax ends up being knocked out by a single Cross Chop from Machamp, ending our run here. I think that in hindsight, if we had our full team of 6 for the Elite Four, we could have been fine here. However, Charizard ended up doing so much damage to our team in Silph that we really didn't have much of a choice unless we wanted to play too risky against Alakazam. So I don't really think our choices were a mistake. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment below, and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know which game you'd like to see me challenge run next in the comments below. And if you tried the team yourself, let me know how your run went. Hey, welcome to my new outro. A big thank you to everyone for watching the video. I want to give a huge thanks to my phenomenal team, and for the amazing art done each week by Danny the Demon. I couldn't do all this without them. If y'all enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Be sure to leave a comment too. It really helps us out. I have a brand new TikTok for Mystic Umbreon, and I've got a goal to get 10k followers over there. If we can hit that goal, I'm going to pick a random video suggested to me by you guys and do it. So go over there and leave a follow. Also, over on Mystic Sage, we've still got 2 videos going up every weekend. We've got content from My Hero, to Demon Slayer, to Dragon Ball. So come and check it out. And also check out Mystic Sage on TikTok. Finally, I've got an Amazon store where I sell tons of cool stuff. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mystic Umbreon, and I'll see you next time with some more amazing Pokemon content.